Yep. And admit that person here. Wow, this is a full house. It's a shame that we do not have pizza. Does anyone have pizza? Anyone bring pizza? No, no one, clearly no one got the memo. Right, let me share my screen. Salmon, I had a salmon sandwich earlier. I think that's like a reasonable...
That's the most middle class thing I've ever heard.
I had a salmon sandwich earlier. This is what our meetup has become, Lily. Sandwich chat.
I
Right.
confessed to salmon and vegetables for dinner just before I got here.
So, what is this? Why are we here? Well, this is the Kent Digital Meetup Ashford branch. So thank you all for coming. This is, I'm going to try and not read the slide because then I'm just going to be like, this is the 19th of August, 2020, but we should all know it. We've been in it for 18 hours and 53 minutes. Anyway, what is Kent Digital Meetup about? It is a place where people that are interested in digital or people that work in digital come find out, get some like valuable insights, get to meet other like-minded people. We relax, we talk, we laugh, we cry, we share jokes. And every now and then one of us maybe cracks open a beer. So my name's Aaron Taylor. As I said, I'm CEO of 6.2. We sponsor the Kent Digital Meetup because Kent is an incredible place for digital businesses and for businesses using digital. And we wanted to kind of create a bit more of a hub and a bit more of a focus where people can kind of come and share and really just kind of celebrate digital and learn and eat pizza and drink beer as we haven't done in a while. So the way it works is that we have two speakers, and if I click, we can see the agenda. So we're around this sort of 6:45 mark, and for those of you who are regulars, you will know that I am the best person in the world at timekeeping, which is why we're already 9 minutes late. So we're gonna have a first speaker, then a break, then our second speaker, and then goodbyes, we can continue networking and that sort of thing. Our two speakers this evening, our first speaker of the night is gonna be Mike Cochrane. As he introduced himself, he's a problem solver, a business growth expert, and an online motivational speaker. His talk is going to be about how to create awesome results instantly. As he said, like he's, grown multi-million-pound businesses. So I think there's going to be one or two nuggets that we can all take away from this talk. Then after the break, we're going to have our second speaker. This is David Proud he's a video producer at Proud Business Productions. He's going to talk about 5 mistakes that you're making with your business video marketing. I'm really looking forward to this because since the pandemic and since we're, back in the days when we weren't allowed to leave our houses, video like absolutely exploded, and people that were thinking about doing video suddenly went, oh crap, we might need to start doing video, and dived into it and have been making mistakes. So hopefully if you are one of those people, then listen up to David's talk because you are going to learn a thing or two. At the end of the talk, we have a bit of a Q&A. So feel free to raise a hand or put something in the chat as well. But I am going to stop sharing my screen now because I am so good at yes. And I'm going to hand over to our first speaker of the night, Mike Cochrane from Your Problem Solver. And I'm going to spotlight this video. Can everyone see just Mike now?
Yes.
Excellent, fantastic.
Yes. My condolences. Right, Aaron, can I just say how wonderful it is to be here, and also to thank you, Megan, and your wonderful team for hosting this event this evening. With regard to my introduction and everything else, you've already done it, so I may as well sit back and relax, which is fantastic. I'm going to be talking to you tonight about mindset, which is so important. I'm going to be talking to you about communication and also building relationships. I've got one or two other little things that I'm going to be talking about, which if you pay real attention to, you will be able to create awesome results instantly. But I can't do it for you. At the end of the day, you're going to have to take the action. So from my point of view, it's all about mindset and it's all about taking action. If you actually think about it, we can't influence the past. We've had 20 weeks or more of uncertainty. And for those of you who have taken action over that 20-week period, like Brian, I know you've done that and Dave's done that. I'm sure a lot of you have done it. I take my hat off to you and say, congratulations, you've done a bloody good job. For those who are pontificating, procrastinating, and you know, they've got every reason to, my thoughts are with you. For those who are in a position where they really don't know what the future holds and they're really not sure who to ask or, you know, what to say, I think of them as well. There's nothing wrong with that. But my point is, there's only one person that can make things happen for you, and that is you. So, yes, learn from the past, but move on. Because if you don't move on, you're going to be left behind, okay? Change your mindset, change your life. Change your mindset, change your life. Just remember that. Now, I'm going to introduce you to somebody who had self-limiting beliefs. And he took action. And he ended up being a true sporting legend. What I would like you to do tonight is to watch this 2-minute clip. And during the course of it, I want you to think, what was it that he actually had that made him go from where he was to where he got to? Okay? So without further ado, I give you the sporting legend.
This kid's got a left. This kid's got a right. If he hits you once, you're asleep for the night. This kid fights great. He's got speed and endurance. But if you sign to fight him, increase your insurance. I am the greatest. I told you, I'm the real champion. I am the greatest of all time. As you lie on the floor, while the ref counts 10, pray that you won't have to fight me again. He is the greatest of all time. This brash young boxer is something to see. And the heavyweight championship is his destiny. I'm gonna float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You can't hit what you can't see. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. I'm gonna float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. You can't hit what you can't see. Float like a butterfly and sting like a bee. I have wrestled with an alligator. I done tussled with a whale. I done handcuffed lightning, throw thunder in jail. That's bad. When I say two, that's never third. When I say 3, don't bet against me. I'm a man of my word.
Wow. Wow. Brilliant. Why enter the ring if you don't have the passion and the vision to win? Why enter the ring if you don't have the passion and the vision to win? That applies not just to boxing, that applies to everything that we do in life, yeah? Whatever we do in life, we need to have a passion and we need to have the vision for what we're doing. Think about it. There's so many messages that he gives in that particular clip. He always started with the end in mind. He had the vision, yeah? we have to start with the end in mind, and we've got to have the vision. So anybody that's just starting off in business, and I know that a lot of you are not just starting, but any of them that are, you need to get out there, and you need to make sure that you do your 6 Ps. And it's not the 6 Ps that I use in our learning. It's the 6 Ps that I use for proper preparation prevents piss poor performance. So you have to check that whatever you're bringing to the market is going to be right for you, yeah, and more importantly, right for your clients. So you need to be able to identify who your focus, who your market is, your target market is. You need to laser in on that market and make sure that what you're bringing to the market is something that they really, really need and want. I don't know, I'm going to put a question to you. Do you know what your purpose is at the moment? We've had 20 weeks or more than 20 weeks being locked in, right? Now, what your purpose was before you went into lockdown, I want to know in the chat box, if you wouldn't mind, whether your purpose is the same today as it was before we went into lockdown. Because you know what? There's a lot of people out there that actually have changed. There's a lot of people out there that may not be looking for your products and services. There's a lot of people that, although your products and services were ideal for them prior to lockdown, they're not ideal for them now. So we have to move with the times. And the only way that we're going to do that successfully is if we go out and we ask people what they need or what they want, which leads me on to, sorry, hopefully it leads me on to the next slide, which leads me on to communication. Have we been out, have we actually communicated with all the team? Have we communicated with all our employees? Have we communicated with our suppliers? Have we communicated with the people that are out there as prospects or clients? And if you have you actually asked the right questions to get the right answers? Because that's so important. I keep on saying to people, when we're out there, when you're communicating with people, in order to be the best at what you do, you need to be caring about others, not yourself. You need to be out there asking the who, what, why, where, when questions. And you have to make sure that you're actively listening. Because when you go out and you ask all these people for their opinion, if you really genuinely cared about them, you would listen to what they've got to say. But there's so many people that I meet that actually ask questions, but they don't really actively listen to what people want. So if you want to create awesome results instantly, you need to make sure that you have a good story to tell and that you listen carefully to people before you go out there to tell it, so that it actually runs in parallel. So listening is very important. Learning from your listening is very important. Assessing what people say to you is very important. I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that you do everything that people say they want, but what I'm saying is give them a bit of space and listen to them. The main thing is to act. There's a lack of action. There's loads of people that listen or supposedly listen, but then they forget to actually take action. So for goodness sake, make sure you take action. Next slide, please. I love this. I love this. Whatever you say it well and say it often. Well, if you listen to Ali, all the things that he was saying, you know, he floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee, and you can't hit what you can't see. I mean, that portrait is just wonderful, the fact that he says he is the greatest, or he was the greatest. He kept on telling you that he was the greatest. He kept on telling you he was greatest. When he started off with his self-limiting beliefs, he didn't believe he was the greatest, and he stood in front of a mirror and screamed at himself every morning to say that he was the greatest. And then when he believed he was the greatest, he came out and he told us that he was the greatest. The great thing was we then believed it, but even better, the competition believed it. So they went down in round 3 because he said they were going to go down in round 3. So he was a man of his word as well. And that's something else that we need to be in business. We need to make sure that we provide products and services second to none. And if we haven't got products and services that are second to none, we need to aspire to that. We need to aspire to that. There's another man called Tom Farmer, Sir Tom Farmer. Now, he was the founder of QuickFit. And I remember hearing Tom Farmer initially when he started talking about his advertising, and he said, you can't get better than a QuickFit fitter. And when I heard that initially, I thought, what a load of nonsense. But actually, he just kept on saying it. He kept on saying it. It was amazing. It went into the head. So if I needed an exhaust, or if I needed a tire, or anybody out there needed exhaust and tires, if they thought about exhaust and tires, they thought about QuickFit. Because why would you go anywhere else? It would be silly. Because at the end of the day, you can't get better than a QuickFit fitter. So whatever you've got to say it well and say it often. Okay? Thanks. Next. What? Oh, sorry, yeah, it is. Sorry, it's getting late. Right, poor old bugger. Right, this is an interesting one. What I'd love you to do is to actually go back to your businesses and do a so what exercise. This is my so what exercise. Who are you? I'm going to turn this around the other way, right? Pretend this is me, okay? And pretend that what I say is, I'm Mike Cochrane. You're going to say, so what? Big deal. Who's Mike Cochrane, right? At the end of the day, I also turn around and say, my message is that I've been in business for 50 years. Bully. So what? What's that all about? Right? And why should I buy from you? I haven't a clue. Right? Right? Now let me spin it. I'm not talking about Mike Cochrane. I'm talking about I'm your problem solver. Now you're sitting there just now, and believe me, I don't know anyone who has not got problems that they want solutions for, and they don't have the solutions. So when I say I'm your problem solver, your ears prick up, right? But that's what I do. So what's my message? My message is to you, that I'm dedicated to your success. And you turn around and say, really? Are you mad? Why are you dedicated to my success? What about you? I mean, what's in it for you? Well, what's in it for me is, if you're successful, I know I will be successful. So I am dedicated to your success. I don't want to work with somebody and find that they are not successful, because that's not in my interest or theirs. So be careful about your messaging. Why would I want to buy from you? I'll tell you why. Because I guarantee results. If you implement what we talk about, I guarantee the results. So you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain. Now, I've only used that just as an exercise for you to see. I want you to go back to your businesses and do a test. Who are you? So what? What is your message? So what? Why would I want to buy from you? So what? If you can't actually get away with answering that question, you need to change it. You need to change it. or you're going to be left behind. Okay, sorry, thanks. Which brings me neatly on to relationships. Yes. I would love you to go into the chat box and tell me why we need to do relationships. Because relationships take time, do they not? Building relationships take time. And building relationships costs money. Is that not what they say? Pop in the chat box why we should be building relationships. I can't see. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. Well done, Claire. Absolutely spot on. Same with you, Dave. Well done. I'm preaching to the converted. Yeah. Els, brand loyalty. Okay. All right. Because they're pants. Oh dear, I love it. Never mind. Right. Let's move on because we only have 20 minutes. Aaron, I know that you're a stickler for timekeeping, and I'm definitely going to pay attention to that. Okay. What was that you just went through? Was that the last? Was that the right slide? I think you missed a slide. Right. Okay. Excellent. Sorry about that. We're just having a little tiff. It's okay. Don't worry. Little techie. You see, it's where tech joins tactics and strategies. Right. Think smarter, not work harder. Yeah. Do you know what? This thing, this horrible thing that's hit us, called COVID-19, by God, it's woken me up to tech. Yeah. There has never been a better opportunity for David or anybody that's in tech. Yeah. Because we need to have the right systems. We need to be able to measure and manage whatever we need to measure and manage. And now we've got people working from home, and we've got people who are doing completely different jobs to what they were doing before. Yeah. I need to have the most up-to-date tech. Otherwise, hey ho, I'm going to fall behind. So guys, you can be minted if you get your act together. So anybody in tech, crack on, make hay while the sun shines. Next. This is really important. This is really important. Small changes really, really, really do matter. And if I ask you to do one thing for me, please pay attention to this slide that's coming up. Okay? A few years ago, I went into business, and what we were doing, we were looking at the sales department in that business, and I picked the key drivers of what generates sales. And I said to the person that I was with, what is it exactly you're looking for? And he said, well, I'm looking to increase my profits by at least 10%. Can you do that? I said, no, I can't do that. I said, at the end of the day, you're going to be the one that does it. But if you're asking me whether I can give you the tools to do it, yeah, I can give you the tools to do it. I said, it's quite easy, actually, right? And he said, yeah, I bet. I said, it is. So what, in fact, we did was, if you take a look at these key drivers, you've got leads. Okay, you've got 1,000 at the moment. In fact, Graham, if you can bring that up down to there, not there, but down to the profit, if that's possible. Just flick it through, okay, and I'll get back to it. I'm just thinking of time. Okay, don't do that. Don't do that. Right. So, effectively, what I'm saying is, lead generation is, you need to know who your target audience is. Loads of people don't. Loads of people actually waste a lot of time and energy speaking to the world when they need to focus laser into who their target market is, right? Leads are generated from different platforms now. So are we actually using the right platforms or not? Who's measuring it? Who's managing it? I don't know. But most companies that I go into do not understand how to do the lead generation. Can we increase the lead generation by 10%? Of course we can. You're talking about less than 2 a week or thereabouts. Yeah? And that's scalable. I don't care whether it's 1,000 leads that you've got in there, you've got 1,000,000. The principle is exactly the same. Conversion ratio, 25. Can we get it up to 27.5? Of course we can. How? Because we train our people. We invest in our people. Selling has changed. No longer does selling and telling sell. The start of a sale starts from a conversation, not a sales pitch. Don't close people when they're not ready to be closed. And don't tell them about the wonderful things that you can give them if you don't actually care. If you haven't actually asked the right questions and found out exactly what it was that they actually need. And if you don't have the right solution for them, don't give it, right? Just tell them that you haven't got it. If, you know, don't sell them something that is not going to work for them. It will backfire on you. So with regard to conversions, it's all about the sales process being better and your team actually understanding exactly how they fit into all of this. So it's all to do with teamwork as well. Everybody must be on the same page. We all must understand how the business works and why we come to work, okay? Customers suddenly increased to 302. The transactions. Do you know, there's 2 or 3 people who have said quite clearly, Dave said it, and I can't remember who else said it, but people buy from people that they know, like, and trust. It does cost money to actually get them to the stage of buying something. I admit that. It costs money. But at the end of the day, you've done all the hard work, you've done all the legging, yeah? Why is it you move on to the next customer and go and looking for another customer? Get the mindset of a farmer. Farm the land, farm the ground, okay? Go back to your customer that you've sold something to. They love you. They know, like, and trust you. If you've actually done a good job for them, they will love you. And they'll want you to come out with some other products and services if you can. So you phone them up and you say, Aaron, hi, how are things going? Yeah? Yeah. And you have a nice little conversation. At the end of it, you say, listen, Aaron, on the basis that you love what we sold you, right? Is there anything else that you would like us to maybe stock that we don't stock at the moment? Yeah. And if it makes commercial sense to do so, then do it. It's the easiest sale in the world. What's holding people back? I don't know. Can I put my prices up? Oh no, can't put my prices up because the competition would, I mean, they're cheaper than me. If you're giving the level of service that is second to none and you're giving them the products, and get their price up, they'll pay for value. They'll pay for value. Profit-wise, will I be able to get that profit margin up? Of course you will. Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is, if you look at the total profits that I've got down here, total profit, remember, we're only going up 10%. And I know I'm not very good at arithmetic, but 62,500, 10% on top of that, we're not talking 70,000, are we? We're not even talking 69,000, I don't think. So how the hell have we arrived at 100,000? Well, it's because we've taken the key drivers of the business and we've increased each part of that by 10%. So increase, you can put that up now, by increase, you know, get your 10% increase. That actually works out at 61% more profit. Now, that slide is a jewel, and it really is a jewel. Put that into practice, and I'll guarantee you, you'll get awesome results. But it won't happen unless you take action. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to be here. And what I want to do is just quickly run through things, because if we can just go through this systematically, repetition is everything. Remember what I said. Ali said he was the greatest of all time, and he kept on telling us he was the greatest. Tom Farmer said, you can't get better than a quick fit fitter, and he kept on telling us. Repetition is everything. Make sure your message is right, and make sure you repeat, repeat, repeat. So you have a clear mindset as to what you want to achieve in your personal and business lives. You always start with the end in mind and visualize the end result. It was funny with Ali, because the end result for his people in the ring were generally flat on their back on the canvas, which can't have been very nice. Believe in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody's going to believe in you, and your team certainly isn't going to believe in you. And make sure that you support your team. Make sure you support your team. They are gold dust to you. They are the drivers of your business. If you believe you can, guarantee you will. I'll guarantee you will. If you believe you can, you will. Right? If you've got the mindset to do it, you will do it. If you believe you can't, I'll guarantee that you won't. And if you say, I'll give it a try, I'll turn around and say, don't bother. Right? Just do it. Remember, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, I think everybody that's on here tonight has demonstrated adequately through this period of time that by being here tonight, they have actually bounced their way through this. Yeah. And at the end of the day, they want to come out the other side. So lead by example. I find so many people in businesses, especially in management. I don't blame the management, because they haven't been trained, they haven't been developed, they haven't been given the tools to actually manage people properly. So lead by example. If you are a leader, lead by example and earn the respect for the actions that you take, rather demanding the respect for the position that you hold. And you know what? If you do that, you'll be amazed at the results that you actually get. Amazing. Whatever you have to say, remember to say it well, and you need to say it often. I'm not going to dwell on that, because we've covered that already. Okay? But I could repeat it. This one is very important. You don't micromanage. There is no need for anybody to micromanage. With all the systems that we've got at our fingertips at the moment, if you've got them, press a button, the information's there. You do not need to micromanage. From that report, if you've got management, then the management can actually go out and do their job properly. So don't micromanage, delegate, motivate, and most importantly, inspire those around you, because you will. Measure and manage what I refer to as the key drivers of the business. I told you about the key drivers of the sales department, but obviously there's a whole lot of other things that are key drivers. So depending on what you're looking at, there are different drivers. I was talking about the 6 Ps earlier on. We have a program called the 6 Ps. And interestingly enough, it's if we focus on the 5 Ps, if we get them right, then the 6th P will be the byproduct of getting those 5 right. And the 6th P will be profit. I remember when I was working and turning around a division in the corporate market, I remember so clearly that they were so focused on profit that they didn't focus on what made up the profit. And you're never going to succeed if you work that way. So stop focusing on quick hits and profit. Start focusing on building relationships and building your businesses. Lastly, we need to actively listen. As I've said, so many people don't listen. It's funny, actually, when we go to some of the networking meetings, some people are so worried about standing up and giving their presentation that when you ask them about what somebody had said when he was standing up, they don't know, right? Because they're so interested in themselves, they're not interested in those other people. So make sure you listen, make sure you learn, make sure you observe, assess, communicate, and act. So I've tried to rattle through that as quickly as I possibly can. I definitely dwell on small changes matter, because by Jove it does. Thank you for watching. For future no bullshit, it does say BS, but I'm sure that you can understand what BS stands for. Business advice. Please feel free to contact me through LinkedIn. If you would like to connect in LinkedIn, just send me a connect. If you've got any pressing problems that you would like to just get a sounding board on, email me and I'll be delighted to do so. As far as the group is concerned, what I'm offering tonight, just in closing, is a 45-minute consultation call for anybody who would like to actually have a chat about any pains or problems. And I'm not talking about medical pains, okay? So thank you for your attention. I hope you've taken something out of that, and I look forward to the rest of the evening. And I'm sure when Mr. Proud comes on, he'll give you a lot of really good tips. Make sure you pay attention. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. I've taken you off of the spotlight. If everyone, you can like go back to gallery view now as well, if you want. Mike, there was a lot that you covered in there. I'm just going to do a quick Q&A because I'm aware of kind of time right now. But you covered a huge amount in that. If you were to kind of, what would you say with the people that you've worked with over the years is the number one thing that holds them back from realizing their own success? What's the thing that you see most commonly?
Lack of self-belief. You know, a lot of people have got a problem understanding what they've got to offer, but then that's because they've never been asked. I mean, I remember, Aaron, when I went into my first business, it was losing six figures back in 1982, right? And I'd been to the bank and asked if they would lend me the money. And of course, I went to all these banks and they kept on showing me the door and saying, don't be so daft, you're losing six figures. There's no way that I'm going to support you. But what I learned out of that was just keep going, believe in yourself and just go for it, right? So when I got in to see them, it was a case of assessing what it was that they were struggling with. And it would be fair to say that generally it was a case of nobody loved them, nobody cared. They were just told what to do. So I had 45 people at the time. I had 45 people who came to work because they had to come to work. They didn't come to work because they wanted to come to work. They didn't feel valued. Their input wasn't valued. And at 5 o'clock, they all buggered off. So why the hell were we losing £100,000 a year? I know. And the funny thing is, it took, well, we turned that from a six-figure loss to a six-figure profit in 12 months. But when I say we, I mean we as a team, yeah? But all they needed was to feel loved. It's funny that, isn't it? And to feel that what they had to say really mattered. I mean, I used to say, you know, at the end of the day, if I'm just a car cleaner, yeah, why do I bother paying you a wage? If you're just an anything, why would I pay you a wage? I don't need you because you say you're just you're actually a key person within the whole organization. Without you, I don't work. It doesn't work. You know, a leader's job, as far as I'm concerned, is all down to leading. He leads, he inspires, and he communicates well with the inside world as well as the outside world. That's his job or her job. It's not to go around barking around the whole place and making people feel sort of 6 inches tall.
Yeah,
sorry,
indeed.
I get quite excited about these sort of things. Sorry.
Yeah, no. That's and a lot of what you said there. It's been kind of it's been reworked and rehashed in a lot of kind of modern sort of management theories and stuff like that. But it does boil down to just that sense of feeling, that sense of worth. You know, that you can only really get from that external validation. Someone else turning around and saying to you, "No, you're actually quite important, and you do great work, and I value your input, and I care about what you have to say." So it's not hard.
I said, listen, the one thing that I can say to people is, it is not hard. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Talk to people simply. Don't try and be the big I am, right? Just communicate properly with them. Just keep it simple. I mean, the 3 things, as I said to Brian, when I first met Brian and we were talking about these things, I turned around to him and said, the 3 things that I did when I walked into that place, I said that we had to provide products and services second to none. Now, my product was a Ford vehicle, okay? Now, you could buy Ford vehicles anywhere. So what was I shouting about? Yeah? What I was shouting about was, I can have the same products, but I've got to give a level of service that is second to none, right? And that is what my team did. And that was because we all hooked into the same thing, yeah? So the 3 things that we had to remember was, we're going to provide products and services second to none. We're never going to overpromise and underdeliver. And the 3rd thing is, you guys and girls have to understand, I don't pay your wages. It's the customer that pays your wages. So look after them royally, and guess what? They're going to look after us. I've got to be honest and say there was a 4th thing, and that was, we've got 12 months to turn this place around. If we don't turn around in 12 months, we're all out of a job, so let's go.
Excellent. Good stuff. In the interest of time, I think what would be good, if anyone has any questions for Mike specifically, let's pop them into the chat. And after David's talk, because I'm aware we need to have a little break. After David's talk, Mike, you can probably jump in the chat and have a discussion around that. Does that sound okay to everyone? Excellent. Fantastic. Right. Now is the break, and I can put this up just so we can see, and just so we can laugh at how fantastic my timekeeping is. So we're at the break now. So again, like, would everyone be okay if we met back in kind of 5, let's call it 7 minutes, maybe? Enough time to grab a drink, onto nature's call and things like that. If everyone's okay with that, then beer or tea? Is that really that is not a question. Yeah, let's meet back here at, let's call it 7:43. I think that will be sufficient. Should we do that? Let's do it. And we don't end up with 4-hour long videos. Anyway, hello everyone, welcome back to Kent Digital Meetup Ashford. Why did I do that like I was just going live on TV? I don't know. Maybe it's because I dreamt of being a TV presenter when I was little, and I ended up being a web developer instead. But there we go. Start with the end in mind, eh, Mike? We're going to jump into our next talk, which is by David Proud of Proud Business. So no, I've got your business name wrong. Productions. Damn it! I'm so close. I was so close. I was like error-free this entire time. he's going to be telling us about the 5 mistakes that we make when. Oh, no, that's the wrong button. I've just muted you. Unmute. You need to accept the unmute. Sorry. Wrong one. I was going to spotlight you. Right. This is the 5 mistakes that you make in your video marketing. And it's over to you, David.
Thank you very much. So the first mistake is don't mute the person that's going to be speaking next on a Zoom call. Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Mike, for that great presentation. Some really good takeaways there, and actually works quite nicely into some of the things that I'm going to be talking about as well. So as I mentioned earlier, I run Proud Business Productions. We create high quality video content, specializing in businesses and helping getting that content found online. I've been doing it for about 9 years now. In that time, I've worked with businesses from local trades like plumbers and electricians up to multinationals like Sainsbury's and Google. And I've learned quite a lot about what businesses are doing wrong with their video marketing. So that brings us on to the topic of tonight, the mistakes you're making with your business videos. So this talk is split into 2 parts really. The first part is more about video concepts, things that you should do before making your video, things you should include in your video. And then the second part is about how to make better quality videos yourself. I mean, I'd love to say to you, you should get me to come and film all your video content because then I'll be rich. But realistically, you need a lot of content nowadays and it'll get very expensive very quickly. So on to the first mistake I see businesses make. They don't have a singular, clear purpose for their video. What most businesses do is they have a video that's got multiple purposes. So they want to sell a product, they want to show off their showroom, they want to get people to meet the team behind the business. The problem is that if you have too many messages, they all get confused and people stop paying attention, they click away. So what sort of purposes can you have for your videos? It doesn't just have to be about view count, because sometimes view count doesn't even matter if you're reaching the right people. So what about providing customer support? Maybe you have an issue that you keep getting customer support calls about. You could create a video that solves this problem, push people towards it, and then that'll give you a reduction in your customer support calls. Or you want to show yourself as an expert in your field. So you could make a video giving really good, helpful advice that's targeted towards your audience. Or you want to grow your email list, so you could make a Facebook advert that tells people why they should download your lead gen and join your emailing list, so then they're in your sales funnel. Or you want to sell a particular product. Now that you know the purpose of your video, you need to work out how you're going to measure it. So for the customer support, do you have a CRM that's good enough to track exactly what each of your customer support calls are about, so then you can see if it's going up or down? Showing yourself as an expert, it's a bit harder to measure, but do you have good enough lead tracking in place so you know exactly what videos are driving leads in your business? Growing your email list is quite an easy one because most email marketing software nowadays has really good analytics. And selling a product, do you have good enough analytics on your website where you can tell exactly which video drove that traffic towards that page? Once you know how to measure it, then you need to start testing it. As with all marketing, it's all about testing and measuring. So again, for the customer support call, you can actually track whether it goes up or down. It could be multiple reasons it's not doing a job. It might be you're not getting to the point fast enough. It might be you haven't got it on the right page of your website. It might be that you're not promoting it properly. All these things you've got to pay attention to and then improve in future content. But you can get a lot more granular than that. Let's say you got one video, you want to sell a specific product, and you can chop that video up 5 different ways. You could have one with a voiceover over top. You can have one with text on screen. You can have one with alternate text on screen, so you've got a slightly different copy. You can have one with different background music and one with different footage. You can then set them up as adverts on Facebook, run them for about 12 hours, and then that will give you a good idea of what's working and what's not. So you can stop the ones that aren't working, and then you can either carry on with the ones that are, or you can change those a little bit and see if that improves it or makes it worse. Or you can take the ones that are working and pick a different target audience. So it's all about finding out what your potential customers want to watch by testing it. So the second mistake most businesses make is they don't get their viewers to self-identify at the beginning of the video. So you get bombarded nowadays on social media. There's so much content, it's easy to just scroll through it. One of the best ways to get your viewers to pay attention is to get them to self-identify. And this basically means they see themselves represented on screen. Easiest way to do this, ask a question at the beginning of your video that relates to your audience. So if you're a plumber, it could be, how do I bleed my radiators? Or it could be, when is a good time to replace my boiler? For a business coach, it could be, how do I get my business to pass the £1 million profit mark? The idea is the people, they see these questions and they think that relates to me, I need to know the answer to that, and they keep watching. The best way to do it though is to use your customer avatar. And if you're not sure what a customer avatar is, it's basically a rundown of your ideal customer and everything in their life. So their age, their sex, where they work, where they live, their job role, the car they drive, the type of house they have, what they do at the weekends, what their family life's like, everything you can think of. And then once you've got this information, you can then include it in your video. So it could be you're, again, with a business coach, you're looking to reach new tech startups. So you could show someone that's driving a Tesla, they work in Shoreditch and they live in a nice big house in the countryside. So the person watching that thinks, oh, that looks like me, and subconsciously I think this video must be for me, I need to keep paying attention. So on to the third mistake, your footage is boring. And there's a really good reason for this. Get my phone out my pocket. Everyone, when they take footage, they get their phone or they get their camera and they put it up to their face and they take all their video at this height. That means everyone's footage looks the same, which means it all looks boring. One of the great things about digital technology nowadays is the ability to delete stuff, which means you've basically got unlimited storage. When you think back on how things used to be, either photo or cinema film, you had to take your footage, you had to take your shot, and then you had to get it developed and then see if it worked or not. So it's a long process where you're experimenting and you're finding what works and what doesn't. Nowadays, you can take a video, you can look at it, go, that doesn't work, delete, try something else. So let me show you a couple of examples. As we're in lockdown, I haven't been going out filming many businesses, so all my experiment footage is of my dog and my girlfriend, so enjoy that. So this is my dog Cleo. It's a pretty standard top-down shot, looks pretty cute, but it's still pretty boring. So why don't we try a low angle? I don't think this really works, you can't see her eyes, it's not very interesting, so I'll delete that, I wouldn't use that one. How about going from the front to then round to seeing what she's looking at? It's getting a little bit more interesting, but why don't we try something else with your dog running towards you? That's a lot nicer. Or seeing things from another perspective of how your dog sees the world. Another example is some flowers. Pretty boring, but what about if you got down on the ground and you moved through the flowers? This is something that people don't normally see. So it's gonna attract their attention a lot more. But you've got to be careful when you're doing things like this, because using different angles, different heights, different movements gives different meaning and feelings to your footage. So I'd love to know what you think in the chat. These two shots, what feelings and what meaning does it show to you? Let me know in the chat. Okay, well, I'm just waiting for those to come in. I'll give you my answers and then I'll see if you got them right. So I'd say the first shot, this one, the low angle, I would say that's confidence, that's power, that's heroics, that's knowledgeable, professional. Whereas the looking down, you're small, you're isolated, you're unconfident. So just by moving the camera, you're giving a different feeling. So when you're talking to the camera, this is especially important. I like to have things at an even eye line, so the lens is the same height as my eyes, because that puts me on the same level as the viewer. If you maybe wanted to appear a bit more wouldn't say confident, but maybe you want to be a bit more of a leader, you can move it down slightly, not as low as this shot, but you can move it down slightly so that you appear more powerful. When would you use the other shot, the shot looking down? Maybe you want to show a transformation in your video of your customer. So maybe you're a hypnotherapist and the first shot is the looking down, it's lonely, you're not confident, you're not sure what's going on. And then you can talk about how you help people and how you transform their lives. And then the last shot is the power shot, it's the hero shot. And it really shows that journey visually from powerless to powerful. What about adding a bit of movement into your shots as well? Because movement also conveys meaning. So this first one, going from left to right, can be seen as a change of view, a change of opinion, coming round to someone else's way of thinking. Or this shot pushing in can be a realization. You've come up with a good idea. You're seeing things a little bit differently. Or we can just make movement a bit more interesting. So you could have a revealing shot where it goes from low to high or high to low and reveals what you're looking at, just to create a bit of intrigue. And we can see the same here. So it's all about experimenting and seeing what works and what doesn't, just paying attention to what you're doing, which leads me on to this mistake. The fourth mistake is you don't think about the framing in your video. So what is framing? Framing is where you position things in your picture, and as a general rule you want the most important thing to be the biggest thing as well, because in your brain it's saying if it's this big it must be the most important. A really easy way to make better looking shots is to use the rule of thirds. So the rule of thirds is if you divide your shot into thirds and put a line on each of those thirds. If you put your subject on one of those lines, or even better, where those lines intersect, it just balances the shot a lot more and makes it more visually appealing. You can find options in your camera and your phone. These are called frame guides, and you can turn them on so you can judge where you need to place things. But, well, I'll move on to that in a minute. But what you want to do, basically, if you've got someone talking to camera, you want their eyes to be on that top third line. If you've got more of an interview style where the person's looking off the camera, you want their eye that is furthest forward to be on the intersection, and you want more room in front of their face than behind. And if you're shooting landscape style stuff, you want one of the lines to be on the horizon, and you want the picture to be filled up with the bit that's more interesting. But what if you want to break these rules? What if you want to convey something that's not so balanced? So let's say this is a pretty standard shot, it's balanced, it's on the third line, but if you move over to the other side, I'd say this looks like someone might come up from behind you. It's a bit scary. You probably see it quite a lot in horror films. So how could you use this? Let's say you're a security company and you've got an app on your phone that alerts people when you're in danger. So you could start off with this shot where the person's uncomfortable. They probably look a bit sadder than Hayley does right there, but I can't help making her smile. And then after they get out their app and they check everything's okay, then it moves over to the other side and they're safe. Or you could move the person to the bottom of the screen, and this says to me maybe the world's getting on top of you. Things aren't quite right. The whole world's a bit out of balance. So like I've been saying before, you need to experiment to see what works. So the last mistake we're going to talk about today is you don't edit your videos. And editing doesn't need to be as complicated as buying professional software and learning how to use it. It can be as simple as cutting the beginning and the end off of your clips. Like, you know, the bit where you press record and then you're looking to see if it's recording, and then you start talking, and at the end of the video you're fiddling around trying to press a stop button and it's not working. Just clip those bits off of your video, which you can do in your camera app on your phone, and it instantly makes it look a lot more professional. But now you can get free editing apps on your phone, like iMovie on the iPhone, and this allows you to do a bit more. This allows you to clip out bits within the video. So maybe you've got a few seconds pause about where you're thinking about what you're going to say next, or maybe there's a bit where you trip over your words quite a lot. You can clip that bit out and put those two bits back together. but that's going to start to make your video a bit disjointed because you'll be suddenly moving around. Now you can add in a bit of B-roll, and B-roll is extra footage that shows what you are talking about. So with the examples that I've been giving tonight, it's that is B-roll. So what you can do is just get the B-roll, drag it on top of your interview layer, and then it hides those cuts. From there, you can add a bit of music as well in the background, and it's amazing how much atmosphere the right bit of music really adds to a video. And then maybe you could add a graphic on the end where you got your call to action. So, like everything I've been saying tonight, different editing gives you a different feeling and a different meaning. And this was pioneered, I believe it is in the 1950s or 1960s, by a Russian theorist called Kuleshov. And his theory was your feelings on a clip changes depending on which clip you see before it. And let me show you what I mean. So in this first example, we see a bowl of soup, and then we see a man, and he looks hungry. Second example, we see a little girl in a coffin, and then we see the man, and he looks sad, he looks depressed. And then in the third clip, we see a woman on a chair, and we see the man, and he's a bit of a perv. So what if I told you that the shots of the man are the exact same shot for each clip? It's the clips before that are colouring your feeling and colouring the meaning of the expressions on his face. So you really need to think about what clips you are putting together. Are you going from a certain shot back to you, and your face may be misconstrued as saying something that it's not? Again, you just need to experiment and see what works. Test it, put it out to your audience, see what feedback you get, and then improve on the next time. So just to wrap up, I'll go over the 5 points again. Number one, you don't have a single clear purpose for your video that you can test and measure to improve for the next time. Number two is you're not getting your audience to self-identify in a video so they see themselves represented and feel like the video is for them. Number three, your footage looks terrible because you're taking it at head height and you're not experimenting enough and giving people shots that they wouldn't normally see in everyday life. Number four, you're not framing your shots, you're not thinking about your framing and what meanings that framing gives to your shots. And number five, you're not editing your videos as simply as cutting off the beginning and the end. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's presentation, and I'm happy to give you any answers you may want in the Q&A, but I do also have a YouTube channel, which I'll put in the chat in a second. And if you want to learn more about how to make better content yourself and how to get it found online, I do release weekly videos on that. But thank you for listening.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, David. As well, this is because we've all been watching in full screen. I felt like I've just been watching a video on YouTube and taking notes and stuff like that. And then I'm like, oh no, I actually get to talk to him afterwards. So excuse me if I'm not
I'm used to
interacting
scripting everything, so I'm like, this is completely new to me.
Fantastic. No, those are some absolutely brilliant tips, and again, some of the things are quite simple to do, like the rule of thirds thing. I remember it, so I'm quite into my photography as well, but not sort of work related. I'm more like sort of abstract and landscape and stuff like that. But I remember when I learned about the rule of thirds, it was like the frame, it was a whole new world, a whole new way of seeing things. So it's really good actionable advice that I think I'd encourage everyone to kind of to take on board. And of course, you're holding up your iPhone there. That's got probably a 4K camera or something on it now. Yep. It's utterly ridiculous the quality that we're able to achieve just with our phones. People can get started right away.
One tip I would say is everyone's got the same lens in their phone as well. So another way to differentiate yourself, on Amazon you can get clip-on lenses for about £30, and it'll make it more of a wide angle, or you might get a zoom lens on there as well. So that's definitely worth picking up, just to make the footage look a bit different again.
Excellent. I mean, from kind of sort of your perspective, like, is it possible to make, even if you didn't do all of those things, is it still possible with, say, I don't know, a powerful enough message, or you know, like, if you were to kind of focus in on any one of those things, is there one thing that everyone should definitely do to make their videos better instantly? Purpose.
People, especially in getting to the point as well. Once you've got a purpose, you can have it up front so people know what you're talking about. So you got two sides to that. One is you don't want to confuse your viewer, because people have got short attention spans on social media especially. So you want to get to the point quickly. But also, if you're not clear about what you want your viewers to do, what information you're giving, what value you're giving, why would they bother paying attention? It's going to be lost on them. So having a clear purpose and have that running throughout your video is probably the easiest thing to do. And I think it will probably get you the best results, because you can get away with slightly bad footage if the message is good, but obviously if you have it all together, it's going to make the biggest impact.
Els just jumped in with a question. What's your purpose, Dave? And I'm sure that's meant in
life.
Why are you here?
What is the meaning of life? I mean, my purpose for my business is I really love helping other businesses succeed, even though that may sound cliche. But what I see a lot of companies doing, a lot of video production companies, is they'll make a really nice video and then they'll just pass it off to the client and go, here you go, right, our work is done. Whereas that business doesn't know how to promote that video. It doesn't know how to get it to its target audience. It doesn't know how to do all these things. So my purpose is not only to make the content, but actually get it found by the intended audience as well. Yeah,
excellent. I mean, I guess we're kind of sort of towards the end of things. So, you know, if you want to sort of unmute and throw questions at him, great, and probably open it up as well, kind of, maybe if we have a bit of a broader Q&A to also include Mike as well. So chuck it in the chat, or just unmute and shout. Use your outdoor voices. Don't use your outdoor voices. We've got a question from Simon whilst everyone's thinking, which is, what's your views on the length of video?
Depends on the platform. For social media, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. I mean, LinkedIn's a little bit different, but try and keep it short and to the point. Even though Facebook, when you upload, says the best videos perform that are 3 minutes and longer, the analytics don't actually support that. The reason is it's interruption marketing. So you're literally, the person's not there to watch the video. They're there to scroll their timeline and you're just grabbing their attention. Whereas on YouTube, the length is however long it needs to be. YouTube actually rewards longer videos because they measure everything by watch time. So the more time on your video gets watched, the more they're going to push it up in search results and in recommended videos. But again, you don't want to just carry on waffling about something that's completely unrelated. Get to the point, but people are there because they're interested in the subject of your video. So it's a perfect place to do a deep dive on something and really go into detail.
Yeah. YouTube has the magical 10-minute barrier, doesn't it? Videos over 10 minutes rank, you know, a lot better than.
When you think about it, it's with all platforms, but YouTube especially, they want to keep you on that platform. So if you've got longer content that's keeping you there, that lets them serve you more ads, they're going to love you for it.
Yeah, exactly that. And that ads thing, just to kind of digress slightly, there's a bit that I think a lot of people forget, like, you know, Google, Alphabet, Inc., YouTube, this is a business. They sell ads. You know, Google is driven to bring you relevant, up-to-date information so you keep using it, so they can show you ads. You know, it's it's often overlooked. Any other kind of questions? Any questions for Mike?
Speechless.
Speechless. I mean,
I've got a question, Mike. I've got a question for you. So you're saying mindset is really important, but I mean, especially at the moment, mindset's going all over the place day to day because, you know, the situation, it's not so bad now, but still the situation can change day to day. Are there any tips you can give to keep your mindset strong and positive?
I think what I was saying in that presentation, Dave, is that you can't influence the past. Whatever's happened has happened. If we hang on to that, then we're not going to move forward. So, yeah, it's thinking about the opportunities that are now presented to you rather than thinking about the problems that you're having because of 19. Think about where the opportunities lie, because there are plenty of opportunities out there. As I say, as far as the tech world is concerned, I think the world is your oyster out there at the moment. All you need to do is grab it by the horns and run with it. You know, a lot of people procrastinated, unlike yourself, right? That's not going to help, because at the end of the day, you're going to go nowhere. So it's all about sort of taking action.
Cool.
And the other thing is actually planning something like at night. If you go to bed at night, it's nice to actually write down a little plan as to what your day is going to look like tomorrow. Yeah. And it'd be quite good to sort of put that up on the wall and make sure that you stick to it. Make sure, like in the height of the pandemic, it was a case of make sure that you spend quality time in your work, but also in your life. So you need to get out if you can. I mean, I was very fortunate being down in West Sussex. I was walking in beautiful countryside that nobody else seemed to be in, which I was quite lucky to do that. But unfortunately, people in London, I think I would have been beyond myself if I'd been locked up there. So yeah.
Yeah. Completely agree. And I think kind of sort of more broadly, we're about to see a reimagining of kind of what working life looks like, and a kind of readdressing of that work-life balance as people have realized not only are they still able to do their jobs, they're able to do it better and they're happier for it without having to sort of bookmark their day with sometimes, you know, very long, very stressful kind of commutes. But you know, some people will still go to the office because that works for them. A lot of people will find working at home works for them. So, but I think we'll see a very big shift in sort of how work happens, and maybe like mental health will improve as a result of people being able to work in ways that are more kind of sort of suited to them.
Yeah, going back to what we're talking about, Aaron. My learned colleague on my right has just put down, ask yourself the right questions that are going to give you the positive answers, really, you know, which is absolutely true.
Good point.
You get what you think. If up here saying, you know, you're not going to do something, you're not going to do it. So have a think about what you can do. I mean, as I said to Brian one day on the BBN job, I'm now a qualified tree surgeon. I'm a gardener. I'm a pot cleaner. There's so many things. A hedge cutter. I can do the lot, right? But I was not doing what my skill sets really are for, which is to help others become the best they can be in their personal business lives. So that was frustrating, but by hell, I enjoyed it, actually, being out there and doing all these things.
You've developed new skill sets now, Mike. And that's
I
what
have.
people have done, is there?
That's much better than just saying, well, you've developed some skills now, Mike. Yeah.
And to kind of join these two together, I mean, David, it'd be quite interesting, sort of from your perspective. Have you seen people using, have you seen video and the way it's being used change since lockdown? Have people, have the messages changed? Have the styles and the things that people want to kind of get across changed? Or is it kind of business as usual, but you just kind of bracket it by saying, oh, I hope you're doing well in these unprecedented times?
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say much has changed, but people are doing it more.
Yeah.
I mean, you were saying at the beginning, it's when you can't get out there and network as well as you could before. You need to try new things, and video is one of them. And video is always something that people are like, oh, I've always been meaning to do that, and then there's always 10 different reasons why they don't do it. But this has sort of forced people to do it. I mean, people have, I hate to use the word, pivoted with video. I mean, Graham, who's in here tonight, he was doing sort of tutorial and testimonial videos at the start of lockdown, and then he saw an opportunity to interview local businesses about what they do, and then that's really taken off for him. So it's, people have sort of come at it from a different way. People didn't want to keep doing things the same way they did because it's not going to work anymore. People need to try something new.
Yeah, indeed. And like everyone here kind of everyone in the meetup tonight, what sort of things, just kind of throw it out there, either in the chat or kind of via voice. What sort of things have people been doing differently since lockdown?
Would I be able to add something to that? I'm sorry, my video's off because my cats are running all over me.
We all want to see that.
No, you will see a horrible bottom. But I know, when lockdown happened, not mine, no. When lockdown happened, I definitely took that turn of oh, poop, I don't know what I'm going to do here. And I took that stance of, I'm just going to give it a break for a minute and get in my own headspace again. Because I think from starting a business, you just want to go and then you have this opportunity to stop. But I thought it was quite interesting on the outlook of mindset that you shouldn't have to feel like you've got to act sometimes, because I think taking a step back really helped me in developing the ideas I already had, and to then act once I finally had that clear headspace again. Away from all the worry and the anxiety of it all, I was able to listen to someone like Mike during BBN presentations and be like, right, now is my time that I can actually take that step forward.
I mean, thanks for sharing. I'm a huge advocate on taking the time to kind of think and digest, because what you're doing is you're giving that creative side of your brain, that kind of subconscious driver, a bit more time to work the problem. The amount of times I've been stuck on a problem and then literally gone to sleep and woken up with the answer. It's fantastic.
Can I just say something?
Go for it.
Yeah, well, I decided to move, and we moved here in November. I'm in Tenston, and during the lockdown, I decided that I was going to start up again here. So it took that time to, get it all together, contact suppliers, etc. I didn't bring very many clients with me because there weren't many in Pluckley. And but the most frustrating thing for me was the beauty industry was the last to get going again.
Yeah.
I was chomping at the bit, ready to go, but we couldn't. I mean, obviously we couldn't do face, treatments. That was obvious. But, when you work with companies like OPI, for instance, it's all totally sanitized anyway. The only difference is wearing a face mask and a visor for me.
Yeah.
Because everything else is sanitized.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like there's an opportunity there for video, whereby people that have previously been, very much face to face might have been able to sort of jump on a video and help the people kind of self-serve. They'll come back to you because they're going to anyway. But you know, I don't know, Dave. Have you seen people kind of?
There's two ways you could do that. Just ideas off the top of my head. Obviously, beauty videos are a huge business. Makeup tutorials and things like that. It might be a bit of a crowded market. You might need to find your own niche there. But one idea is, why couldn't you do like one-to-one Zoom makeup tutorials where you're talking through someone what shades and what type of makeup to use? They can do it, and then you can tell them ways they could improve it. So there's lots of different ways. It's not just recording a video and put it online. There's lots of different ways you can use video to boost your business. And again, by doing that, you're building that connection with someone as well, so that when you can see them face to face, they're more likely to turn into those big customers that keep coming back again and again.
Yeah, it's that no like and trust, isn't it? A couple of points in the chat. If you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always gotten. Great quote there from David. Thank you for that. And then we've got a question from Richard Hyatt for David. What's the best method of avoiding glare on spectacles?
Don't wear them.
Interesting one.
Don't wear them.
Don't wear them. That's it.
Yeah, they're the bane of my life. It's all about it's about the angle of your light. So I've got a light up here. It's shining down. So you've got to think, if you've got a light that's straight in front of you, it's just going to bounce straight off. The higher up you move it, the less likely you're going to get that light bouncing off. But it is really, really tough.
Doesn't anti-reflection coating help, though, on glasses?
Could do. Yeah, it's not something I thought of, actually, yeah. But again, if you turn up to shoot with someone, you got to work with what you got.
As someone that used to years ago work in an optician, actually work in the lab, this is about 10, 15 years ago, I'm showing my age now. It doesn't work like that, I'm afraid. Anti-reflective doesn't work like that. It's actually, it just doesn't work like that. Sorry.
Yeah,
great. Yeah. Graham, you didn't have any, there wasn't any glare in my photos, was there at all?
No, because it's the angle of incidence, which is the angle that light bounces perpendicular off the surface of what you're shooting. So as David said, if the light's high and your camera angle is between the angle of incidence and the perpendicular angle, then you won't get any glare or flare. But it's finding that point between the two angles.
Yeah.
And the other thing you've got to think is glasses have got a curve on them as well. So you might move your head slightly and then you get the glare back as well. So that's why they're, especially with video, they're so hard to work with.
Excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, look, I'm gonna do my last bit, and then I leave the Zoom running, and you're all trapped in my laptop, and I'm actually downloading your personalities and running them on a little AI program. Actually, you'll end up in The Sims. So I'm gonna just share this. Yeah, that's what sort of things that go on in my head. Right. Next, KDM. So thank you all for coming along to this one. Hope you've enjoyed it. I think it's been pretty good, if I do say so myself. Apart from your host, he is a bit flaky at times. Anyway, so the next one, we're normally at this point every month, and I need to mute someone because I'm hearing my echo. If everyone could just like mute themselves real quick, because there's someone I echo with, and I will find you and I will mute you. And that was obviously a reference to Taken. Okay, I'm gonna carry on with this now. Right, yes. So what did I do? I went back. No, I didn't want to do that. Yes, Wednesday the 7th of October. And we're going to try something new. It's terrifying. But basically, we are reintroducing so everyone remembers back in the day before we got digitized, when we would go outside to places and meet people. there were several KDMs going on. So there was Ashford, there was Maidstone, there was Medway as well. Well, they are coming back into the fold. And so the next KDM is not going to be hosted by me. It's going to be hosted, I think the next one's hosted by Supersonic Playground. And so there's a slightly longer break between this KDM and the next KDM. I feel like this is a simple thing to say, but I'm making it sound complex. So really, I apologize for that. But nonetheless, so the next one is also going to be slightly different. We're going to try a talk and then a panel. And I'm slightly terrified about this because I've never done a panel before. So I'm going to be totally making it up. So at least come along for the lols, seeing me try and do my best, insert name of famous panel interviewer there. It will be more like Graham Norton, I'm sure. Anyway, our speaker is Danny Windsor from Sleeping Giant Media, Giant Campus. And he'll be joining Amy Colsterin and Carrie Stay. Amy Colsterin of Movie Free Photography and Carrie Stay of Clockwork Moggy. Yes, nailed it. And so they'll be on the panelist session, and it's all going to be around the topic of visual content. So go to the meetup page and register. Everyone who's here had done that already, apart from Helen, who just she's like gets the inside track. So, what can you do? We try to keep her out, but she keeps turning up. Anyway, so go to the meetup page to register. We look forward to seeing you there. Last slide. Upcoming meetups. So this is what I said, but explained in words. Excellent. Right. So there's going to be 2 a month. And I kind of feel like, okay, I'm going to try and explain this. And then Megan, please correct me when I fluff it up. So there's two meetups a month now. 2. You had 1. It's 2. So Maidstone, hosted by Supersonic Playground. They're going to be Wednesday. They're going to be like the first Wednesday of the month from 5:30 p.m. They're going to be talking about e-commerce, and they're going to have talks from Richard Dean. There's a lot of Richards in the world. Richard Dean, who's the MD there, and Becky Sims of Reflect Digital. She's the CEO. And yeah, those are going to be amazing talks. We've had Becky on before, so if you missed her last time, definitely go and, I say go, like log on, Zoom your way to that meetup. And then Medway is back with the tallest digital marketers in the county. So JK Online, if you don't know, have now merged with Clockwork Moggy, and they are now part of the intricate machinery within the organization, within the wristwatch that is Clockwork Moggy. It's a lovely kind of old Victorian style thing, and lots of springs and all of those things. Anyway, they're one thing now, and that's awesome. And they have the banner of having the tallest marketer around. They are going to be hosting KDM Medway. That's on Wednesday, the 16th of September. So you won't see me in September. And I know, just take a moment. It's okay. It's going to be good. We'll get through this. Ashford. So there's two meetups coming along in September, where I'm just going to go on holiday to take the month off, I think. Anyway, go to the KDM meetup page and register, and try not to get confused because there are more things happening. I hope that's clear as mud. I'm going to stop sharing this. Yes, again, thank you all for coming. Thank you to Mike Cochrane and David Proud. Those are absolutely fantastic talks, really insightful. I am definitely, a huge fan of this mindset approach to things, because, like you say, I can't remember who it was, but you mentioned it, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't, you're right, and that's so important. And then David, like, just real simple, like actionable things you can do right now in your video to make it like 10, 100 times better. Obviously, like, you know, these guys are available. This is the bit where I stop talking. I press the stop recording button. I'll say thank you once again for everyone who came along. And if you want to hang out on my laptop whilst I download your personalities into my Unimatrix and you become part of the collective, then feel free. But that's it from me.